In this lesson, we're going to talk about the limits of polynomial functions, and we're going to do 4 different examples that you mostly encounter with, and that's going to help you understand the way that the question forms and also the pattern. So let's get started. Well, the first one of the first type of question that you mostly encounter with is just this question. It says that limit as x equals to 1 and x raised to 2 minus 1 the whole over x minus 1. So not only with this type of question, but with all type of limits of polynomial functions, the first step that you have to do is just try to substitute the number that they give you, or this one, in the x spot. So when you substitute this one, if the result is not 0, it means that will be your answer. But if your result is 0, you gotta find another way because you don't want your answer to be 0. So it seems like we're gonna get 0 when you substitute 1. And it seems like 1 times by 1 is 1, and 1 minus 1 the whole over 1 minus 1. So my 1 minus 1 is 0. So I don't want my answer to be 0. So for that reason, I need to find some other way, or I gotta simplify this whole thing, and then finally I can substitute 1. So that's what I have to do. So the step is first try to substitute the number that they give you, and if you get the answer other than 0, that will be your answer. But if it is 0, you just gotta find some other way, or you just gotta simplify it and substitute again. So I don't want you guys to get confused when we apply this whole thing that we've talked about in examples. That's gonna help you to understand. So since when I substitute 1, I get 0, so I don't want that to happen. So for that reason, I need to simplify this thing. So when I simplify this thing, x raised to 2 minus 1 is the same as x minus 1 times by x plus 1. So when you multiply x plus 1 by x minus 1, you're going to get x squared minus 1. And then in the denominator spot, we got x minus 1. So now it means that I can cancel out these two things. So when I cancel out these two things, I'm left with x plus 1. So this is the thing that I'm left with. So seems like now I can't substitute 1 because I'm sure that I'm not gonna get 1. I'm not gonna get 0. So since I'm not gonna get 0, it means that I can't substitute this number, and then I can find the answer. So when you substitute 1, you're gonna get 1 plus 1, and that will be 2, and 2 will be your answer. So this is the thing, and this is how you simplify the type of question that is in this form. So the first step is try to substitute the number, and when you substitute the number, if you get 0, simplify that number and substitute again. So when I substitute again, I get 2, and that is my answer. So this is it, and this is it for this type of question. Now let's just see some other type of questions. Okay, so when you count to the second one, the second question says that the limit of x goes to 3 and the whole x cubed plus 27, the whole over x plus 3. So now let me see if I can substitute this 3, and let me see if I get 0 or other number. So when you substitute this 3, you're gonna get 3 raised to the 3 plus 27, the whole over 3 plus 3. Wow, it seems like we're lucky. It's kind of like this is the easiest one because we're not going to get 0. So all we have to do is just substitute the number. So 3 times by 3 times by 3, you're going to get 27. So this is 27 plus 27. And then 3 plus 3 is 6. So this one will be what? It will be 27 plus 27. And then you're going to get 54 over 6. So when you divide 54 by 6, your last answer will be 9. So it seems like when you counter this question, we can't substitute 3 because we're not gonna get 0. But if this one, or if this sign was minus, we have to simplify this whole thing. That's just the only way to solve this one if it was minus. But this sign is plus, so since this is plus, it means that my answer is not going to be 0. So that can allow me to just substitute this number into this x spot and get the answer 9. So I hope you guys understand the concept, how it works. So all you have to do is just, the first step is just trying to substitute the number that they give you, and if you get 0, trying to find another way. But if you don't get 0, that will be your answer. The number you get will be your answer. So that's the thing. That's the whole trick. So I hope you guys understand it. But if you don't understand it, when we do some other type of question, you're gonna understand it. So stay tuned. So now let's go to the third example. But since you guys got some sort of understanding, I want you guys to start the video and try the third question, and then see if you get the answer. So now when we get to this the third example is kind of like a little bit different since we got this square root, but it's just the same pattern and the same rule. So we gotta substitute this x and see if you're gonna get 0 or not. So when I substitute this 1, I'm gonna get what? It seems like I'm gonna get 0 because 1 minus 1 is 1, and the square root of 1 is 1, so 1 minus 1 is 0. And I don't want this to happen, so I have to simplify. So when I simplify, if you guys got this type of form, or if the question is in this type of form with the square root, the thing that you have to do is just try to multiply the denominator by its inverse. So what I mean by its inverse is I want to multiply this one by its inverse. So when I multiply this by its inverse, it will be what? It will be x, or the square root of x plus y. So this is kind of like the opposite because we got this minus and we got this plus over here. So that makes it the inverse. And then we also gotta have to multiply these in the denominator, in a numerator. So this will be x plus 1. So now when you multiply these two things, you're gonna get what? X minus 1 times by and the square root of x plus 1, and then the whole over. So the square root of x minus 1 times by square root of x plus 1, you're gonna get what? You're gonna get x minus 1. So now seems like I can cancel these things. So when I cancel these things, I'm left with root x plus 1. So now I can substitute this 1 because I'm not gonna get what? I'm not gonna get 0. So I'm left with this square root of x plus 1, and I'm gonna substitute this 1. So when I substitute this 1, it will be root x plus 1. So root x is actually 1. So this will be what? It will be 1 plus 1. And 1 plus 1 will be 2. And then 2 will be my last answer. So for this specific example, my answer is 2. So the thing that I did is just first I try to substitute this 1. And when I substitute this 1, I get 0. So I needed to find some other way to simplify this thing because I don't want my answer to be 0. So I simplified this thing by multiplying by its inverse. So let me show you guys. So when I multiply by its inverse, I get this one because root x minus 1 times by root x plus 1 is x minus 1. And then I also multiply this thing, and then I also cancel these things, and finally I get the answer. So because since I'm left with this one, I'll substitute this one, and finally I get the answer. So this is it, and this is all you have to do. So I hope you guys understand some sort of concept, or you understand it the way you do, or you deal with this type of question. So now let's do the last one. The last one will be different than the type of question that we've been doing. So let's do the last one. So let's go to the last question. So when you count to the last question says that the limit of x goes to 1 and the whole x raised to 4 minus 1, the whole over x raised to 6 minus 1. Okay, so it's kind of like the same stuff or the same steps, same procedures. So let's substitute this one. So when you substitute this one, you're gonna get, seems like you're gonna get 0. You don't have to do you don't have to just do this all x raised to the 4 minus 1 and 1x raised to 6 minus 1 all the time. Don't do it all the time. Since you know that this one will be 0, you can't pass this process. But, just for you guys, I have to do it. So, seems like I'm going to get 0. So, I don't want my answer to be 0. For that reason, I got to simplify this thing. So, when I simplify this thing, well, what I want to do is just I want to break it down. I want to break down this 2, and I also want to break down this thing. So when you break down this thing, or x raised to the 4 minus 1, this is the same as x raised to the 2 minus 1 the whole times by x raised to the 2 plus 1. So x raised to the 2 times this one times by this one. When you just add the exponents, you're gonna get what? You're gonna get x raised to the 4. So this is the same. And when you counter the denominator part is also the same as x raised to the 2 minus 1 the whole times by x raised to not the 2 but the 4, since we got this 6 exponent, plus x raised to the 2 plus 1. So this is the same as this one. This whole thing is the same as this one. So since these two things are the same, what I want to do is just, I'll break it down and I simplify it. So now it seems like I can cancel some stuff. So when I cancel this part, I'm left with x raised to the 2 plus 1 the whole over x raised to the 4 plus x raised to the 2 plus 1 the limit as x goes to 1. So now when you substitute the number 1 in this x spot, I'm sure that you're not gonna get 0. So we can't substitute now. So when I substitute, I'm gonna get what? 1 times by 1 is 1, so it will be 1 plus 1. And then the whole over 1 raised to the 4 is just the 1, so it will be 1 plus 1 raised to the 3 is also 1, so it will be 1 plus 1. So this thing will be what? It will be 2 over 3. So my last answer will be 2 over 3. So I hope you guys understand it. So the first thing that I did is I just let me show you. So the first thing is just I break it down, or I just simplify this thing. When I simplify this thing, I get this one, and then I cancel these two things, and then after that I'm left with this one. So since I'm left with this one, now it seems like I can substitute the 1. I can substitute 1 or this one, the number that they give us, since since I'm left with this whole thing, because since I cancel these two things, it means that I can substitute the number 1. And when I substitute 1, I get the last number, or I get my answer 2 over 3. So that's the thing that I did. And so you guys can see, it is so easy. So all you have to do is just, the first step is just substitute. And if you get the answer that's different than 0, that will be your answer. But if you get 0, or if your number is 0, trying to find another way, and that way would be simplifying. And when you simplify this thing, you're gonna get this type of form, or type of form that we've been doing, or that we've seen. And then after that, you can substitute the number, since you simplify the thing. And then after that, that will be your answer. So that's the whole thing you have to do, and that's the whole step you have to follow when it comes to these limits of polynomial function. So I hope you guys get some sort of idea and understanding. So thanks for watching, and this is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.